Jake Bates provides competition to a room that I don't think is solidified yet. James Turner has shown a lot, and I know he's probably the favorite, many would say, to win the job. You still need to test him, and I think who else better to test him than someone who was a hot commodity in the kicking market, at least for agency. I mean, that's Jake Bates. I know he ended this season for the UFL. He struggled a little bit, but you can't take away from him what he did early on, which was just absolutely be one of the biggest reasons the Panthers were even winning games. I mean, their offense was not great, and he was accounting for most of their offense, to be honest with you. They would just get in range and let Jake Bates fire away, and he would stack up, 10, 12, or 12 points in total, whatever it was, just to propel them to victory. So he's a good kicker. Now, whether that translates or not, I mean, it's competition. We have yet to know at this point. But what does benefit Jake Bates is he got to play at Ford Field.
Yep.
It's not outside. And guess what? If he makes the roster, wins the job, he gets to play at Ford Field. The same place he was playing with the Michigan Panthers. So, there's some familiarity there. It's better. I mean, Green Bay, you're kicking outside. You go to the Ravens, they're kicking outside. So with the Detroit Lions, a team that's primed to go out there and chase a Super Bowl, you get to kick indoors. He stays here locally. At least the fans are already familiar with him. It's a job that he could go out there and win very well. I don't think it's no one's guaranteed the job at this point. It makes sense all around. So I'm glad they got it done, and I'm curious to see again this battle continue. And I think Bates is a real threat. He's a real threat.
Is it? I want it known too that it's not official completely yet until Tuesday. I don't know if you have the tweet, but when I put the tweet out, it said until Tuesday it should be official. Like that's when it's supposed to get released. So hopefully that news comes out. That's what was reported was Tuesday. So that it's expected to get done. So people are like, is it official yet? Not official until Tuesday, I believe. But Jeff, I'm kind of with you a little bit, and the Jake Bates stuff. It's exciting because it's a guy that has the leg. But at the end of the day, this was his first season ever kicking field goals at essentially a competitive level at that and at that like a professional level. So like he's going to come in there. I don't think it's like an instant. Oh, Jake Bates is your kicker now. That's the Detroit's kicker. Like I do think there's like hey, there's going to be a learning curve. He's going to have to go in there, and he's competing with guys who have kicked field goals for their career. Like Michael Badgley has been an NFL kicker the last 4 or however many years it's been. James Turner just won a national championship at Michigan kicking field goals. So he's going to go in there. Like he does have the leg. He probably has the highest ceiling and the most potential out of any of these 3 kickers. But it's about like you guys, we all know the whole thing with the Michigan Panthers at the end of the season. Like he did struggle down the stretch a little bit, and outdoors he did struggle. But I think it's the upside that he's already kicked multiple 60-yard field goals in a competitive environment. He's kicked 50-yard field goals like consistently in a competitive environment in an actual football game, an organized game. So that's where I think like you do have that upside. So I think there's going to be honestly, like I know we're locally, so we do see this battle, and we don't really know a lot of other kicking battles around the NFL. Might be one of the most anticipated and one of the best kicking battles in the NFL now that you have Jake Bates going there. You have, James Turner, who's been perfect during OTAs, and you have Michael Badgley, who had the job last year. Like this is an anticipated kicking battle. Who knows who's going to come out at top? But all I know is whoever ends up coming out on top and whoever ends up winning that job is going to be extremely polished. They're going to be ready to go because they're kicking against, it's iron sharpens iron. Like these guys are going to be going in there and battling. It's like the secondary room with the Detroit Lions right now. Those guys are battling it out, helping each other get better. Jake Bates is only going to get better with these guys. Like that's all it's going to happen. And I wouldn't be shocked if he wins the job. And like once he starts getting consistent and actually getting within a room to where he's working with guys that are able to help him and who have the experience, I think that's perfect. What does that mean?
Yeah, you know what? That's up to you. I don't know.
I don't know what that means, Ed.
It's up for you to
Booner got me fired up about Jake Bates, though. I was already fired up after the tweet, but Booner knows how to get the boys fired up.
Let's go, boys.
I think part of him translating, I guess for me, I'm curious, and you won't really know this till preseason or the season if he wins the job. And I guess maybe training camp, because there'll be fans there. But having the Panthers, I think we went to a game think it was they played Memphis, and I think it had 9,500 people there. And that was one of the biggest crowds of the year. So now you're going into an environment at Ford Field where now you're talking, 6 times that, more than that. So that's really the only thing. I don't think you can really question his ability, his talent, his leg, but really it's just kicking in front of that crowd. That's probably the biggest thing I'm looking for. Because he has to still compete and win the job, but even if he's on the roster and he's a starting kicker, it's like it's going to be a very different thing for him. Going out there at Ford Field, 50, 60,000 screaming fans, and they're rowdy, and he's got to hit some very clutch kicks. Like that's at least Badgley. Say what you want about him. We're not huge fans of him. He's fine, but he's at least gotten acclimated to that. I mean, he hit one against the Rams and one of the most anticipated games of our lifetime. So
yeah,
you
I mean, you guys have to realize
the only
too.
Thing with Bates for me,
the another example of the same situation with Jake Bates is Brandon Aubrey in Dallas, going from basically I think at the time it was the XFL. I think he came from, or the USFL when they were split up, and went to Dallas, and he was in a kicking battle last summer in training camp as well. And Jeff, I'm sure that was a question, was on the big stage in the NFL, will he be able to do that? So I do think, like, once you get into the NFL locker room and you start working with NFL coaches and NFL special teams, and like, just think about it, like with these other kickers in that room, guys who have been there, I think that's going to help elevate his game that much more. Because like with Brandon Aubrey, I'm sure it was a very similar situation. We know he had the leg and he can be consistent, but there are times to where he struggles because, he hasn't played at that high level yet, because Brandon Aubrey didn't play. He wasn't a kicker before that. He played soccer. It's the same similar thing with Jake Bates, to where he really didn't kick field goals before last year. This was his first time. So I think now it's like Sion Vaki played 2 positions, never focused on running back. Now he focuses on one position. He's going to hopefully be elite at it. It's the same thing with Jake Bates. Now he's able to just be like straight kicker in training camp. Get elite at it. Figure it out.
Yeah. It's worth the shot for the Lions. They bring him in. You get to see what he has. If he wins the job, great. If he doesn't, cool. Whoever's the best kicker will come out on top. If it's James Turner, then it's James Turner. But it's more competition. I like the room better than I did yesterday.
Yeah.
So
I just like the fact that they're going to battle it. They're going to make each other better. Like whoever comes out of it, and I don't think, honestly, you guys want to be honest, who I think it's a 1A, 1B. Like the battle is going to be between James Turner and Jake Bates. And I think Michael Badgley, it's like, hey, sorry. I know you've made a kicks, but like you've been pretty like in training, in OTAs and mini camps, you're supposed to be the vet kicker, and you're the one that's missing all of these kicks in mini camp. That and Jeff, to your point, that's just in mini camp. Even if you made a kick in the playoffs, you're missing kicks in mini camp. Like you're being inconsistent. I don't want my kicker to be doing that. I want a guy like James Turner who's going to consistently hit, whether it's in a game situation, training camp, OTAs. Same with Jake Bates.
And the difference is you at least have a sample size with Michael Badgley in game. James Turner has yet to play in an NFL game. So
Michael Badgley also got cut from your team last year too. So
it's true.
Yeah. I do think Michael Badgley is going to be the odd man out, but I don't think they're just like brushing him to the side after struggling in OTAs. I still think they'll go through the training camp, obviously, with those 3 guys, and they'll still have to fight for his job. But I just, there's, at this point in time, like Booner said, the potential with Jake Bates, like if he goes out there and even has a halfway decent or like matches up with those guys, I feel like there's no way that he doesn't walk away our kicker.
Yeah, Badgley, you said inconsistent. That's about right. I mean, there was days where he struggled, and there was days where he hit 15 straight. It was reported by Risden. So, it's just up and down. And I think you're getting to a point where you're legitimate Super Bowl contenders, and you can't really afford inconsistency from the kicker position, even though it's hard to nail that position. But again, we always bring it up every time we talk about this. I mean, go back, look at Super Bowl matchups, and look at kickers. Typically, good teams also have good kickers. It's just how it works. You need someone you can rely on, and I just don't know if Badgley's that guy come, on the big stage.